For nearly 5 years, The Pullbag has been the GCRN's premier comic book review and discussion-based podcast. I am Jesse Rass, and if you love comics as much as I do, then you need to make your great escape into comics with TFG1 Mike and the rest of the GCRN crew, only inside The Pullbag.
Welcome to The Pullbag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with a rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pullbag.
Hello, folks, and welcome to The Pullbag. This is Back Issue Classics, episode 76. Yes, last time I got the 37 out of the way with episode 137, and I briefly talked about the Clerks comic. Not exactly what I thought that was going to be, but we are back. We're here. We're back on Eternia. I have with me Skeletor.
Sorry, folks. I'm getting over a cold. Lots of phlegm in the throat.
Yes. So Adas Barrett is here with me, and we're going to talk about the next 3 issues of He-Man the Eternity War. Yes, that's right. We're on the end run of He-Man the Eternity War. We'll have
final stretch.
Stretch is key there, folks. Oh, I really wish DC and whoever else and Mattel or who, I really wish they'd stop, screwing around with the He-Man comics because, oh my God, I've said this before in the other Eternity War episodes. The Eternity War series, I thought at the time was going to be an ongoing series. It ended at issue 15. And now, currently, I think it actually just wrapped up as of this recording. We currently have a 4-issue miniseries of He-Man Thundercats, supposedly. So I don't know what's going on with that or what's going to come of that, and we'll cover that eventually. But we still got to get through Eternity War here. Chapter 11. I love the cover for this. I've never really been a huge fan of Triclops, the character himself, but I always did like his technology, and I just love how they basically just homage his eyeball.
Yeah.
His visor there.
Well, it almost gives the idea that that's how he sees in 3 colors all at once.
Right, yeah. And it's very, very cool.
So when he changes eyes, does one just take precedence over the other?
I would assume.
Okay.
Now, if you look at it in the 2002 cartoon series sense, the 3 eyes were 3 different visions. I remember in the 2002 series, the Mike Young Productions cartoon series, that at some point during that series, it was revealed that the yellow, red, green, or blue, green, yellow, whatever, they all had a different power to them. So I'm not sure if that's the case here or not. So we start off with the battle to reclaim Mount Zor, and we start off with Man-at-Arms and Roboto, who we have not seen since issue 5 or 6 or something. I forget when that all happened. Yeah, who knows? And they're basically crashing towards the planet, and Roboto sacrifices himself and calls Duncan father, and...
Papa!
Yeah.
Papa, I won't let you die, Papa!
Yeah. Simba, do not go into the darkness. Oh, God. And we see Triclops, and I like this version of Triclops. I think he looks really cool. I think there's just a little bit too much green, though, on this panel here, where it's him and his little vehicle there. The vehicle
Is it his version of a Sky Sled, I guess?
I assume so.
I mean, I liked the design, but it is a lot of green.
Yeah. So we go to the swamp of Eternia, and we see that he is looking for the crashed thing. Turns out it's Roboto's shell, but Man-at-Arms is not in there. And we have a fight between Triclops and Man-at-Arms. And I really dig this. I think this is fun. What did you think of this whole sequence here with them fighting each other?
I mean, Triclops is almost like the man-at-arms of science.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like they parallel each other a little bit.
Yeah.
The only thing that bothered me, it seemed like Duncan was a little too prepared for this.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe that's in the writing because we haven't seen him in God knows how long. Like, I almost forgot. Like, I just assumed that he and Roboto died, when the thing exploded in the issue so long ago. So I think maybe that's why he was too prepared for this, is because they were trying to remind us of who his character is, even though we've known for the past 30-something years who his character is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord.
Do we know what's on Triclops' back? I can't tell if they're weapons or not, or if it's just like a weird...
No, it looks like it's weapons, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, I don't know. Could be the fact that his skirt is kind of hanging up. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how that... Yeah, that's a little strange. Huh. But no, I love this battle. I think this is great. I love how Duncan finally gets the one-up on him and basically pulls the visor off of him.
Yeah.
Because we've never really known why okay, again, the 2002 series, the cartoon series, we understand that that they all got changed into who we know they would be, like Trapjaw, Kronos is Trapjaw and blah, blah, blah. But I don't remember, Kevin and I on Powers of Grayskull are going to go back through that series, but I don't remember really seeing a true origin in cartoon form for Triclops. And we kind of get it here, the fact that he's blind, and that's why he needs the visor with the 3 different visions, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't address it in the cartoon,
yeah.
But there was the MV Creations comics around the same time, and they had an issue dedicated to him, so they kind of fleshed that out.
Oh, very cool, very cool. So after that battle, we go to a time lapse. So the battle between Duncan and Triclops is now in the present. Okay, so we go back to Castle Grayskull after the defeat of Hordak, and we see, guess what? The slime pit.
I wish they'd make a classics version of that. Like they're going to shell out $400 for the Snake Mountain playset, and this just seems like something really simple to do.
Is Super 7 doing it?
They're trying to.
Okay.
They're trying to keep priced out at the moment.
I was going to say, now that we don't have to worry about Matty Scalper anymore.
Or the terrible QC issues of the past year.
Yeah, or Digital River, thank God. But we get the slime pit, we get Triclops talking with Skeletor, and this is how Man-at-Arms gets turned into the Wraith. And then Skeletor goes under some sort of transfusion or something or other, dealing with the blood of Grayskull. And that looks really, really painful.
Yeah, like the way because you don't see a shot of the Hordak corpse until that one panel.
Yeah.
So does it just detect another body, and it's kind of the little tendon vein things are shooting out and trying to infuse them with it, some very Cronenbergian style and visceral, or is it okay? We're just going to hook you up here, and here.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because when we first see him laying in the thing, you're like, okay, what are they going to do? And then we see the panel with Hordak's dead body, and it looks like the blood is basically seeping out of Hordak and going into Skeletor. Almost like it has a mind of its own, which that's a little strange.
And then when I see Skeletor's floating head,
yeah.
If you push it around, is it going to hover? Or is there just like an invisible neck there that keeps it in place?
Yeah. The panel where he says that we will proceed without delay. Hordak was obsessed with obtaining the blood of Grayskull heirs. Yeah, that panel was a little weird. I'm like, Did somebody break your neck, dude, but your head stayed attached somehow? I don't know how that works. Because if you look at him there with the floaty head, and then you look at him when he's laying in the little coffin thingamajig, it looks like his head is attached to his, like it doesn't look like he has a neck, but yeah, I don't know. That was,
how did he keep the cape on?
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's true. So we go back to the present where we have Wraith versus Snake Man Adam. And this is an interesting battle because at first he doesn't know it's not Adam. He just assumes it is, and then we get the reveal that it's actually King Hiss. And I've said this before, when they've done this in the comics that we've talked about, I wish there was another way to bring in King Hiss instead of just, having him be the sacrificial character. Oh, I'm going to kill you now and take your body.
Yeah, the way they brought it in, and I did wind up reading ahead, and the way it goes, it seems incredibly underutilized.
Yeah.
Like, no one saw anything of Hiss other than maybe 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
So the giant armies don't really know what's going on. I feel like they'd have to have some interconnectivity other than what befalls the Snake Men. But them being aware of it, I felt like that should have been there.
See, yeah, especially with someone like Ratlore, because we saw him last issue. You would think, if you're going to do this whole King Hiss took over Adam's body thing, and somehow he's got the essence of Adam trapped inside of him, which sounds so kinky and wrong. But it's just one of those things where it's like, you would think we would have gotten little hints here and there. But in general, this happened in the last series, how King Hiss appeared, where, not this exact, but he appeared somehow by taking over somebody's body or doing something, and I'm just not a fan of that. Like, have him be his own. Like, okay, look, Eternia and Etheria have Skeletor, Hordak, and Hiss. Those are technically the 3 main big bad guys. Skeletor and Hordak usually end up canceling each other out because one of them is going to kill the other one. And then you got King Hiss trying to do all these emotional mind game things, and it's like, no, just figure out a better way. So then we go to the Well of Darkness, where Teela has found She-Ra via Swiftwind, because Teela amplified Swiftwind's power after she couldn't find She-Ra through the sword because the sword went dark. Okay, I can go along with that, I guess. I do love the visuals of this, though. The whole, the when she's like, with the help of a friend, and then you go over and you see the panel of Swiftwind flying. I love the way that looks.
In this series, had Swiftwind always had that chest plate on him?
Not in the beginning. They started out with classic Swiftwind, and then when He-Man did the whole reforging thing, I think is when he got that. Because
it feels like an obvious choice for armor, because that always felt like a really, really vulnerable area for a horse.
Right, yeah. Absolutely. So they fly off back to Grayskull, and they are then confronted by Evelyn.
I love the coloring on her.
Yeah. That's a toy we need.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Come on, Super 7, don't let us down.
I know, right? So we get confronted by Evelyn, and we have this whole battle with her and Teela. And She-Ra goes off to help Adam. And they turn into their respective animal spirits. All I can think of is Liu Kang and Animalities. That's all I can think of is Mortal Kombat here. I'm like, oh my god.
Brings back memories of that soundtrack.
Mm-hmm. So as She-Ra and Swiftwind flying off. They're being followed by the Dark Riders.
Yeah, these things are really cool.
They are. They look great. They look amazing. We get more here with Adam or with Hiss and Duncan, and it looks like Hiss has won. Except, oh no, wait, his pain is surfacing again, because in the fiery depths, as we end this issue, we have Adam, who eventually will take a rib from himself to make Eve, but. Yeah, that last page, I'm like, oh my God, they really went there, didn't they? Because he has no clothes on, folks. Pop Mahan draws him well to cover everything up, but seriously, that's a naked Prince Adam right there.
Yeah.
What a way to end an issue.
It's like, God, what was it, Superman 5?
Huh?
The Quest for Peace?
Oh, Superman 4, yeah.
Okay.
5 was the shitty returns.
All right. No.
Yes. So I love Pop Mahan and Mark Roberts on art and colors. Dan Abnett's script, it's okay, it's good. It's left us on a cliffhanger to see where this is going to go, and I like that. I think that's interesting. I find it funny that we start this issue off with Triclops, but he quickly kind of, like, the story doesn't really focus on him after, like, the first 4 or 5 pages.
No, not at all.
You know, because... And again, he is one of Skeletor's agents of evil and all that and everything else. What did you think overall after reading issue 11 again?
It felt like another stepping stone towards the conclusion.
Right.
Nothing spectacular.
Right.
But nothing too awful. The one thing that was driving me nuts as I was reading this, if you look at Duncan's armor and the green glow to it,
mm-hmm.
What is that depicted as?
Yeah, that was a little weird. I assume it was like slime pit venom or something.
Well,
like
it looks like a skeleton.
Yeah, that's true.
And what do we know in Master's lore that's a glowing skeleton?
Oh, scare glow. Yeah.
I don't know if that's some weird harkening back to that, or I couldn't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, that was a little strange. I wonder if they wanted to use him, but they wouldn't let him. I wonder if Abnett and the people working on the comic, I wonder if they wanted to eventually use Scare Glow, but for some odd reason, Mattel or whoever just would say no. Which I wouldn't think so, because if you look at all the comics we've looked at over the years for this, for the DC stuff, they've pulled a lot of characters out of their asses.
Yeah, they've stuck just about all of them in the background.
Pretty much, yeah. So issue 12, the cover is classic toy He-Man versus Snake Man. I remember when I first read this issue when it came out, I'm like, yes, finally a classic, actual He-Man armor that I can get behind, not Iron Man armor. Mm-hmm. And this issue has so many homages when it comes to He-Man. We got the axe in here, we got the shield, we got so many things going on.
Who did the cover art for this? Because the style seems much different.
Let me see here. The cover was... Let's see if I can see it. The cover artist was Szymon Kiteransky. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. But it's not a Pop Mahan cover. It's somebody else. You're right. And it looks great, though. I love it. I think it's awesome.
I can't tell if they're using... Well, I'm sure it's digital, but it almost has a watercolor feel to it.
Well, a little bit, yeah. So we start this one off with back at the battle between Teela and Evelyn. and they're talking about how Skeletor is the best and he's gonna win. No, Adam can do it, and everything else. We go to Skeletor, and so we start off with their battle, and then as we go to Skeletor, we've got Evelyn kind of narrating, basically saying he took Hordak's sword and he took his Havoc staff, and he's gonna make him into one giant weapon.
Bigger is better.
Yes, bigger is better.
So with the giant Horikoff bat and the Serpo snake, do you think that's a literal interpretation or a figurative one? We're just kind of representing their battle, or is that actually what's going on?
We saw them both transform. So in the last issue, so I would assume it's somewhat of both. The only thing I can think of, and again, all I can think of is they are both different versions of Mad Madam Mim from The Sword and the Stone. It's like Merlin versus Mim from that movie. That's all I can think of at this point. But yeah, I don't think it's. I think it is meant to be very literal, showing that one is the age of the snake and the other is the age of the bat.
So age of Aquarius.
Yeah, that's true. So we get more of their battle as this goes along, and we see a beautiful shot of Eternia and the planets and still kind of Hordak-looking Castle Grayskull, and we have Fisto and everybody else basically like, we must storm the castle. Where's the king? And then we time jump again.
Yay!
I don't mind time jumps in comics. I just wish that sometimes they would, I don't know. Okay. Well, they do this here, but because I'm looking at it in the Comixology guided view, it's not done very, right off the hand. But it's basically the panel where, I want to become a master, says Adam. And then you have Eternos Palace 12 years earlier. And we have some beautiful shots here, though, of the swords, of the various heroes of Grayskull. Very, very interesting. And we do get Keldor. So that's another interesting thing.
Sans mustache, so I don't care. I need him to be a mustache-twirling villain.
He's not Sinestro, And the one thing I started noticing with this panel, with Randor, Keldor, and Adam here, first thing I noticed on the wall, the axe. The classic axe. Because, of course, Adam's going to pick up the axe and attack his uncle.
Well, it's a flashback, which turns into
a memory, which turns into
dream, premonition.
Yeah, it's
all inside the battle, the mental battle between Adam and Hiss.
And the other part of this that I do like is a few panels later where it's all of them surrounding Adam as he's after he gets thrown out the palace window and Stratos supposedly saves him. He's like, "No, let me go," and comes to find out it's all Hiss. When he's standing there,
Can we address the fact that we finally get to see Stratos without that mask over his face?
Yeah, that's true.
Now the design looks perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That damn gas mask was atrocious.
Yeah. So the panel right before the one that I'm talking about is what you're talking about, where we see, bearded Stratos. And it's to me, it's basically 2002 Stratos, because I don't remember... Like I've said before, Kevin and I have spent the last 5 years going through Filmation, He-Man, and She-Ra, and we did He-Man so long ago, I do not remember if Stratos in the Filmation era had that big of a beard. I remember in the 2002 series he has that big of a beard, but it looks so much better than him with the damn gas mask. But this panel here with Adam standing with the axe, again, a beautiful shot of the axe with him ready to fight everybody. But second time in this series that we see a certain Etherean idiot
We'll see him a couple more times, too.
Really? Oh,
Yep.
God. Go away, Lukey. Oh, my God. Because he's standing right there next to Man-at-Arms. My God. So then it turns into an all-out brawl and battle between Hiss and Adam, and snakes all around him, and he's trying to chop off all their heads, and
all of these flashback characters
uh-huh.
are representational of the Snake Man. They should have shot to a close-up of Loki, looking all cute, and then these snakes just fly out of his eyes. Here's all this adorable stuff that you hated about him. Well, we're going to burn it into the ground.
Oh. I'm going to ask this now, because I don't remember if Loki comes up again. But everyone knows that everyone, in the history of Masters, anyone that's ever been a fan of the franchise, most people absolutely loathe Orko. Who is worse, Orko or Loki?
Loki. Yeah, definitely Loki.
Yeah. So Hiss is like, you will be dead, and he's gonna kill Adam, and throws him into something, and he comes out He-Man with the classic toy armor. Oh, wow.
When was the last time we saw that?
I don't even, not in this series. I don't think we've ever seen the toy armor in this series, but I'm loving this, because he brings out the axe, he's got the shield, he's got the sword, well, we don't actually see the classic power sword, but we see the hilt of it. He's got the classic shield, and he's just fighting for his life. And they then go on to a journey inside Adam's mind. And we have way too many Teelas now. There's 3 Teelas, because it's time travel, and yeah, because apparently he's always loved her. Oh, God. Give me a break. And I do love Goddess Teela. She asks him, how did you put up with me when I was like them? It wasn't easy. So he gets the big, bad, ugly-ass, dumb sword back.
Yeah.
And he gets the ugly armor back. And they, she's like, this is what King Hiss is looking for, your ultimate memory thing, and it's this crystal, and what is this supposed to represent? Because I don't...
It's like a fragment of his memory.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell? Because... this isn't like, this is a piece of the Crystal Castle from Etheria. This is a piece of something that we as fans would recognize. This is just like, this is just a crystal. It represents your most favoritist memory. With this, you can freeze time and whatever. Which he ends up dropping, and it shatters, and we end on To Be Continued. Issue 12 was interesting. But,
again, it doesn't really start to pick up until the next issue.
Yeah. I mean, I like the battles. I like the battle between Evelyn and Teela. I like the battle between Duncan and Hiss. And then, I do like the idea of the fact that Adam is inside of himself, inside of Hiss being inside of himself, if that makes any double, triple entendre sense of he has to fight his way out. I like that. I think that's great. But again, it's King Hiss, and they're not really doing a whole hell of a lot with him other than, he to my knowledge, he's never really said he wants to rule the universe here. I just don't get it. What's his end game plan? Does he want to, rule the planet? Does he want to... At least with Hordak and Skeletor, Hordak earlier before he died, he wanted to, remake the universe in his own image. Skeletor, kind of the same thing. He wants to take over the fucking universe. What does Hiss want?
It doesn't seem like he has any motivation.
No. And that's one of the reasons why I hate when they put him in these comics, because they don't do anything relevant with him other than screw around with Adam and the rest of the Masters.
It seems to be kind of his standing in any representation of him, though.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we've kind of burnt ourselves out on the Horde. Okay, these guys kind of look nice. Just throw them to waste time.
Yep. And so we get issue 13. The cover is of He-Man.
From that scene in Terminator 2 where Sarah Connor's skin is blasting off.
Wait, I don't remember that.
It was a
while.
Flashback moment, or
okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say once you said Terminator, I'm like, oh yeah, the skull behind him does kind of look like the Terminator skull. But that is supposed to be Skeletor. We start this one off with She-Ra fighting against the Dark Riders, and she can't really do anything against them because their weapons are like solid, but when she goes to hit them, just flies right through them. And then, and the words come to her as if from an ancient memory, sword to shield. Of course.
And not quite the shield that you remember.
No.
More of like a metaphysical...
And again, she's not holding the classic jeweled power sword. She's holding the ramped up, steroid-filled, souped-up protection. Yeah. So it gives another ramped-up explosion of a shield, and apparently it just, turns into this giant force field around her where no one can touch her. We do have a different artist on this issue. Tom Derenick is back as the artist with Mark Roberts on colors. So the art here is a little different. And
okay, that would explain how animated the eyes look when they're surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't quite mind it. I think it's interesting. I'm sure he does, but I just hope Pop comes back for 14 and 15 when we get to those. So we've got the She-Ra thing. We then go to Castle Grayskull. And everybody wants to, storm the castle. And Triclops is standing there with Beastman and Trapjaw. And Beastman's like, what's that ticking? And it turns out that Man-at-Arms planted a bomb in the visor. So Triclops' head explodes, or his whole body explodes, or something. Huh?
Got him.
Yeah, got him. Yeah.
It starts in his head and then blows up the entire room.
Yep. The shield is down. The shield is down. What are you supposed to be, Fistu? Han Solo?
I was gonna say, what is this, Rogue One?
Yeah, exactly. Boom! You found my gift, Triclops. Rest in pieces. And we have Man-at-Arms kind of coming out of his whole control from the slime pit, and I really think that the whole thing, like you said earlier, it kind of looks like his skull as we're seeing the little remnants of his glowy parts again. I really do think that was more ooze from the slime pit, and we go back to depths of his memories and 12 years ago, and this is where the king supposedly dies.
Allegedly.
Yeah, because Snake Man is coming after him, and this prompts Adam to wake up out of the thing and to basically cut the head of the snake off, and they fight one more time. And
so they address this as being that one shard of his memory that he needs to hold on to.
Yeah.
But the way it's mixing with what Hiss is after, I'm not quite sure what the memory was. Like,
Well, from what I can...
Something, and Randor's trapped, and Adam does something to get him up, or like, what happened?
Yeah. Let's see. Because
he was a child.
Yeah, because Randor says, this is your last keystone moment, you must keep it safe, Adam. And maybe it's the fact that his father is his last keystone moment, and then we get more of it later where it goes back to Randor. But basically, as of now, he breaks out of Hiss's control, and and Adam is just kind of sitting there afterwards, and we see a voice from the past, and guess what? Randor is actually alive, because apparently 12 years ago he almost died. And Adam saved him because he stopped time. So that's their explanation of how... Like I said before, folks, time travel hurts my head. Unless you're in a DeLorean, time travel hurts my head so much.
Don't get me started on the X universe. But then he gains back control of his body and stabs himself in the chest to rid Hiss of him. But the way it was introduced a number of issues ago, it seemed like Hiss had killed Adam and had been using this husk of his skin. Like there was nothing on the inside. He just and used it. But now it's just like the entity, like the essence of Hiss is inside of him. It's really confusing.
It's very confusing. Very, very confusing, folks. And thankfully, Hiss is no more, and we can just focus on Skeletor.
And then Adam starts turning Dark Knight Returns Superman skinny.
Yeah. We do have a Starseed reference, so there's that. And I do love that open shot of Grayskull with the whole Starseed. That panel is just amazing. And we have Skeletor narrating here, which reminds me so much of the 87 movie. He-Man is broken, and She-Ra, well, she's, your last hope has fought too hard, and we do see that she finally, that because all of the power has gone out of her sword, it returns to the classic jeweled sword.
Yeah, and it doesn't wind up lasting long, which
no,
I don't get.
No. Well, I am the power. I am death incarnate. Now, I love this look for Skeletor, because this does so... It's not the exact look that the Frank Langella version has, but this souped-up look reminds me of his souped-up look at the end of the movie.
Well, this was that look that they hinted at in one of the prior issues, where they had, like, the 8 different versions of him in parallel verses.
Yep. And yeah...
But does he have legs? I can't tell.
I can't tell either if he does or not.
And he's the chest of a visionary.
Yeah. Maybe Jarvis is in there somewhere. Who knows? So Skeletor is ready to take over the universe, and Randor tells Adam, you can hold on to time as you did before. You can stop this moment. And we see that with the broken sword, Adam does the whole by the power of Grayskull. And this actually is more disturbing than anything I've ever seen, ever, in the Masters of the Universe franchise. Because he's trying to stop time, his entire body melts away.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell are they doing to the Masters of the Universe here, folks? Oh my god, this is so crazy. So his skin gets burned off like a Terminator, and he destroys the flames of Harakoth, which leaves a giant explosion. Skeletor does have legs.
Okay, yeah, they were seeing.
You just didn't see him earlier because of the way the...
Must have been a Rob Liefeld illustration.
Oh, that's too scary. And we get a silhouette of a giant supersized He-Man with a giant supersized sword at the end, standing over Skeletor, and, you know, the universe is watching Skeletor. Let's finish this. And yeah, that's issue 13. I don't know.
And that armor that he's wearing has a very classic Asgardian feel to it.
Yeah.
Like he's some sort of troll.
Absolutely. Overall, these 3 issues, I enjoyed them, but again, as I've said, I'm not the biggest fan of Hiss and his Nowhere storylines. I like the Snake Men, I like Rattler, I like Tongue Lasher, and I like when things are done with them, but again, nothing seems to really be going on with, like, we don't get any real, like, why is he doing this? Why is Hiss now stepping up, trying to reclaim something that we don't even know what the hell he's trying to do? The last half of issue 13 I really enjoyed. I think it's great. I love the design of Skeletor, and I love we're finally coming down to it's always about He-Man and Skeletor, and I think that's great. What are your other overall thoughts on this arc?
Yeah, it's going to come down to He-Man and Skeletor, but it feels like every series we've had since, 2012 from DC, it always results in a final battle with He-Man and Skeletor. Granted, I love Skeletor, but it just feels like a constant repeat.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah. If I was going to rate 11, 12, and 13 on a 0 to 5 scale, I'd give 11 maybe a 3.5, 12 a 2.5, and 13 probably a 3, maybe. I don't know. And again, I'm just like, where, other than the epic battle showdown between He-Man and Skeletor, where is this story going? And we know at this point, because we've known for a while now, that there's only 2 issues left. So what now happens to me is okay, how are they going to wrap this up in a nice little bow to send the series off? Because we know it's ending. And that's just kind of sad and disappointing. I don't know. I almost wish, I don't think this will ever happen, but I almost wish that Mattel would get a deal with IDW, because IDW people would do such a better job with this franchise than DC has done in the last 5 years.
Yeah, well, did IDW do the Thundercats Masters one?
No, it's DC.
Okay.
It's unless, hell freezes over and Mattel changes their mind, it's always going to be DC, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, well, I feel as long as Mattel has the deal with DC to do the toys, this is going to be how it is with licenses.
Yeah, that's true, too. You imagine if Hasbro did Masters toys?
Yeah.
I really wanted those rumors to be true last year. There were rumors that Hasbro was going to take over Mattel. And I've made this joke before. I'm like, what are they going to do? Call it Hazmat?
Ooh.
But Eternity War, I loved it up until issue 10. I like certain moments in issue 11, 12, and 13. And I liked the end of 13 with the new He-Man design, even though I still prefer the classic ones. But please do something with this series. Give us something. Any other final thoughts for you before we get out of here?
I'm just ready to hit this final turn to the end of this.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings, but it does get better.
Yeah. Well, it gets better because it gets better because they're wrapping everything up, and in order to wrap everything up for DC and Mattel and He-Man fans, they have to basically fan wank us at every friggin' moment. That's why it's getting better. And as far as oh no, He-Man Thundercats is not a okay, is it? Maybe it's 6 issues total, but apparently I thought it was more than I thought it was going to be more than 4 issues, but I wasn't sure, and I thought someone said somewhere that, oh hey, it's only 4 issues, and it is only 6, so that's good, so that's not bad. So it's basically a mini series again, which will be fine. So there's that. Anything else you want to bring up? You got anything else going on you want to promote or anything?
Nothing at the moment. Things are a little quiet.
Yeah, January, February, March, things are usually quiet.
Yeah. Recover after the holidays.
Ain't that the truth?
That was a mess and a half.
Oh, you have no idea. I'll tell you later. All right, folks. We're going to get the heck out of here. Make your great escape into comics. You can find Das on Twitter, which he rarely uses. It's at ADasBaron. You're on Facebook as well. Any website you want to promote?
Just Instagram, ADasBaron.
All right. And we will catch you next time here in the Pullbag, where we will probably be talking about I Hate Fairyland issues 9 and 10, which is the final 2 issues for the series for that for now. And then after that, I think Comic Revolt, Dan's going to do that with me. And after that, I think we're going to tackle the first 2 issues of Kyle Higgins, Rod Rice, and Alex Siegel's Hatteran's Wall from Image. So we're going to do that. And the Pullbag is going to keep on rolling on. We got a bunch of other stuff coming up this year as well. So we will catch you next time.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news,
Play movie games,
Go in-depth on reviews,
And even have a top 10 countdown or 2.
Also, don't miss our Director Retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film.
Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
I know what we're doing today.
Okay, Michael, if we're going to tackle this podcast thing, we've got to do something really special. It has to be cool, daily, in audio form, and undetectable by radar. Something that screams summer. I know, let's do a Phineas and Ferb review podcast. We'll call it the Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym, or POWCA for short. What do you think?
I think if we're not careful, Candace is going to bust us.
You can find POWCA on the Geekcast Radio Network, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and all of the other methods you find podcasts.
Okay then, carry on.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, the GCRN's comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. Send us an email feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at GeekCastRadio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.